Okay, so basically, what's a mail merge? Let's say that for me personally, I used to use mail merge to let students know where they were testing. I worked in a big high school, and it was a way for me to get these letters to, I'd give them through homeroom. Teachers would distribute them to students, and it let the student know exactly what date they were testing and what room they were testing in. Basically, it's a form letter, but it has specific information per student. Mail merge, my gosh, you could use it for labels, for letters, for passes. You can make an email mail merge. There's so many things you can do with it. I'm going to cover very, very basic information in this. And Dharma and I intend to keep rolling these Zoom meetings out over the summer. I hope this becomes standard practice for us. I think it'd be a great way for us to have like a little mini meeting whenever we needed one, just to go over things, you know, basic skills or whatever is needed. Anyway, so we're pretending this is a file download that I made, and this is just basic information. So we've got the student name, we've got their demographic information, and we have made assignments for their test administrator, their room number. And for those of you that administer computer-based testing, there's a handy little way that you can, if you recall, you can get this information from Tide from your session roster. And that's on a separate spreadsheet. There is a way to combine information from one spreadsheet into another using something called index match. Dharma and I will be presenting a session on index match next week. If that's something that interests you, sit in on it. It's not that complicated. For those of you that are familiar with VLOOKUP, it is VLOOKUP, but a lot easier and a lot more flexibility and a bit more user-friendly. It's still a formula, and if you're not comfortable with formulas, you might want to stay away from it for now. But let me tell you, once you learn index match, it changes your life with Excel. It makes things so much easier. So if you haven't signed up for that, everything is full right now, but we will be creating more and more sessions. So we want to make sure that everyone who wants to watch a session on any of these topics can see one. Anyway, so I'm going to create a very simple letter with testing specifics for each of these students. So let me now bring up a Word document. So hopefully now you guys are seeing a Word document. Okay, good. All right, and again, this is nothing fancy. It's really basic. You can make it as fancy as you want. So basically, this is the form letter part of it. This is the information that every student would have. We're going to make it specific by inserting the student's name, their room number that they're going to go to, their test administrator, and then the reason I like stuff like this is that it was a way for me to sort of reassure that students were getting the same information. I know teachers talk about the rules and regulations of testing, but this is my way of reaching every single student and saying, make sure you know our policy about electronic devices and leaving campus and calculators, all of those things. It was a way to get a standardized message out, and I made sure that every student knew this. So what we're going to do now is personalize each of these letters. So we're going to go into mailings, and we're going to start a mail merge. Now there's something called a step-by-step mail merge wizard. I'm going to go through that, but in all honesty, you can use it if you're brand new to this. It kind of reminds you of what the next step is. As you get better at this, you're not going to need it. But let's do the wizard. And it brings up this window up here. Now, as you can see, there are different types of things you can use mail merge for. Today, we're going to use it for a letter. So I'm going to start my document. And it asks me, are you going to use a different document? No, we're going to use this document right here. And now the next step is we're going to select the recipients. What it means by that is we're going to grab that Excel file that is our list of recipients. So I already have that list made, so now I'm going to browse for it. And I'm just going to go and find it where I placed it on my computer. And there it is right there. Okay, this box will pop up. It'll give you a line per tab or per sheet on your Excel. If your Excel document has multiple sheets, you'll see them named here. Mine only had one sheet, so it selects it by default. I'm going to hit OK. I want to make sure that this is checked, that the first row of data contains headers, which it does. I'm going to hit OK. All right, and this is kind of like a preview of what my Excel looked like. This is my Excel spreadsheet that I had. I'm going to go over some of this in a minute, but I just wanted to show you that's what it looks like. So I'm going to hit OK. All right, now I'm ready to insert my fields. So I'm going to put my cursor anywhere where I want to insert information. So I'm going to go to Insert Merge Field. Now, if you notice, these are all my column headers from my Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to put homeroom. Right here, I'm going to click on the student name. So I'm going to put last name. And you can format like however you want. So in between the last name and the first name, I'm going to type a comma and a space. I'm going to insert the first name, and I'm going to hit a space, and then middle initial. By the way, I don't really like the look of this, so I can hit preview results, and those are the names right there. The actual names that are going to be put into the letters. It makes it a little easier for me to view. I'm going to now insert the student ID. They're great, and you just go through and you just populate it with the fields that you want shown. The room number, the test administrator, and this is just something we threw together. This is obviously not information you have to do, but we just wanted to show you what you can do. All right, so I've got my fields populated on this letter. So I can scroll through this box right here, and as you can see, it changes per student, because what it's doing is it's going row by row on my Excel. And everything in that row, as it pertains to that student, is going to be populated. I can go all the way to the end. I have 75 records, and then I can go back to the beginning. Okay, if you notice, I can send this straight to the printer and print it out, but look right here, my homeroom. It's all different. Why? Because I have it sorted by the student name. And if I print this out, and let's say I wanted to distribute this by homeroom, I need to group it by homeroom. So what I really need to do is I need to go back and sort this by homeroom so that it comes out in homeroom order. You don't have to go back to your Excel. All you have to do is you can, if you're using the wizard, you just click on Edit Recipient List. The same button is right up here, and it brings back that little dialog box that shows us our Excel. And all you need to do is scroll over to where we have homeroom. Here it is. I'm going to click on the column, and I'm going to sort it ascending. And look, there you go. Now it's sorted by homeroom. If I wanted to do a multi-level sort, let's say I wanted to add more variables than just homeroom, I click on this button here for sort, and I'm sorting it by homeroom. Then let's sort it by last name, and then let's sort it by first name. And then I can hit OK. And there you go. So now when I do print these letters, they're going to come grouped by homeroom and then sorted by name. If I didn't want to print out or merge the record for every single one of these students, I can cherry pick. I can deselect all, and maybe I only want to do the one homeroom, so I can click those students. Or if there's a student on here that I know has recently withdrawn, I know this student is no longer here anymore, you can deselect, and then it won't merge those records. Okay, so I'm going to select everything. By the way, if I'm going too fast, or if you need me to go back and repeat something, please, because I can't see you guys anymore, so please just let me know, because I can't see your faces. I don't know if you're confused or not, so let me know.
Can I ask you one question,
of course.
Kathy?
Go ahead.
Okay. Sometimes I use MailMerge for sending out stuff to virtual students,
right.
But sometimes when I bring my file up, it doesn't have the names of the. It has like F1, F2, like that.
Okay.
Like it doesn't have the names.
When that happens, it's because it's not seeing your header columns. What'll happen is, so probably when you brought in your data,
Mm-hmm.
here, I don't want to, when you brought in your data, let me go back to it. You need to make sure this right here is checked, Molly.
You know, I've never seen that before.
Okay, because what's happening is it's getting confused, and it's naming your columns by F1, F2, F3
Yes.
instead of the actual column name.
Okay.
So make sure you do that.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Of course. Okay. Any questions, guys? Please just let me know. Don't be shy. All right. So, and if I made a mistake or I used the wrong file, let's pretend I accidentally grabbed the wrong file. I could just go right here and select a different list, and then I would scroll, I would browse to that file. If I wasn't using the wizard, you can do it right here again, just like I did with Molly. I hit select recipients, and I would use an existing list, and then I would go browse for it. Same exact thing. Okay, so then the next step would be to write your letter, which we've already done. And then the next step would be to preview, which we've already done. You guys already know how to preview. It's all right here. And then the last step is you can complete the merge. So I'm going to click on that. It gives you two options. You can print this. And in other words, you send it, you ask Word to merge it, and it goes directly to a printer. I didn't like doing that just in case I made a mistake. I wouldn't want to print all these things and realize I made a mistake. What I used to do was use this option, edit individual letters. And by the way, that same option is here. Where it says finish and merge, you have the same option, edit individual documents or print the documents. Emailing, we're not going to get to today, but that will be a topic that we cover in another Zoom conference. But I prefer to edit individual documents. So I'm going to click on that. It asks me, do you want to merge the records for all of them, only the current one, or arrange? I'm just going to hit all of them, and I'm going to hit OK. And what it does is it opens up a new Word document, and these are all of my merged letters, and see how they're grouped by homeroom. So the ALX is first, and then this is my entire, these are 75, so this is basically 75 pages, and it's every single letter that I've merged. You can print it out now, or what I used to do is, let's say that it was getting to be, you know, 4, 5, 6 o'clock on a Friday evening or whatever. And it's time for me to go home, and I'm going to do this first thing Monday morning. I would just save it, and then on Monday morning print it out. But you can just save this file. So basically, you've got the merged letter file, which is this one. See how it says here, letters 1? That's how I know it's my merged file. I could go ahead and save this. Let me get out of this one. And then I have my merged, or I should say my template. See how this is just one page? This is my actual mail merge template that I inserted all the fields on. So you could also save this as well and just name it template. And then every time you wanted to change the source, you would just go to select recipients. Like I used to save mine from year to year, and I would bring up the one I did last year. I would change whatever needed to be changed on here, and then I would grab my updated file by doing this. So any questions on this letter? Okay, let me show you now. Let's do a test ticket. Where do I have it? Here it is. Okay, are you guys seeing 2020 Fall FSA ELA reading test?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right, this is a test ticket. Why do I like to do my own test tickets? Only because I love to have all of the stuff down here regarding policy information. If they had to go to specific lunches, I could put that in there because we had, you know, multiple lunch schedules depending on what test they took that day. I would have that all in one page for them. So so let's do this one more time. This time we're not going to use the wizard. Let's just use the regular tools it has for us. So we go to mailings, we're going to go directly to select recipients. We're going to use existing list because we're going to use that Excel file. So I'm going to browse for that. And then again, this is the sheet that I'm going to be working with. And again, make sure this is checked right here. And then I'm going to insert my fields. So I put the cursor where I want it. I insert the merge fields that I want. This time I'm going to hit the preview button. And then if you wanted to type something, I can. So I'm going to type a comma and a space. Because if I didn't and I inserted the next merge field, then here, this is what happens. If I didn't put the comma and the space and I put first name, see how it's just all together? And let's pretend I forgot to do that. I can go back and just do it. Okay? I'm going to hit a space and put middle initial. Here's the student ID. Here's the FLE ID. Oops, that's not FLE ID, sorry. That's date of birth. FLE ID is over here. And then username. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, you can format them if you want. I wanted to make sure that was bold. So all I would have to do is, once I format it on one of the fields, it'll be formatted on everything. So I'm bolding that, and if I wanted to make it bigger, I could. So you can format your fields any way you want. And then this happens to be a form that Dharma came up with, Dharma Rodriguez. All of her stuff looks so pretty. I'm basic, but this looks very pretty. And so she used to like to put the testing room information at the bottom corner, because for her, when she printed it out, she would just go through and just very quickly thumb through the bottom right-hand corner of each one and then group them according to room number. You don't have to put this box here. If I wanted to move it, I could. If I used to put my stuff at the top of the page. So you can put it wherever you want. So let's say the testing date is going to be May 1st. And the testing room is right there. Okay, so let's go through, but wait a minute. In this case, I want to group it by testing room, because when I print it out, all of my 101s, room 101s, I want to stack them together and I want them to come out in order of testing rooms. So I need to resort this. So I just go to my edit recipient list, find where my room number column is. Here it is. And again, I'm going to sort it. And there we go. I'm going to hit OK. And now it's sorted appropriately. I can go through. There we go. And then now we do the same thing. We are going to go to finish and merge, and I can either go to edit individual documents. I can send it straight to the printer. I don't trust myself, so I'm going to make sure I did everything right. I'm going to select all. And now here's my finished product. So now I'm going to have 75 letters. 75 test tickets for students. And remember, if you're doing test tickets, these are now secured documents. So you need to make sure they never leave your room except when on their way to a testing session, and then they're collected immediately after. Okay, let me do any questions so far. Okay, let me do passes real quick. Do we have time? Yeah, let me do passes really quickly. If you don't want to use one paper per student, you can do a pass. And again, this is something that Dharma made. It's very pretty. But this is something you can, it'll hold 3 students per page, and then you can cut them up. Something someone showed me that I thought was cute. If you wanted to put your school logo here, all you have to do is right-click, go to Change Picture, and then go to From File, or wherever you have the file saved. Browse to that, and then click. And it's that easy to you don't have to delete the box and then insert a new picture and then format and all that. That's just a quick, easy way if you wanted to do that. Anyway, so for this, since we're doing multiple records per one page, there's just an extra step that we have to do. So we're going to go to Mailings. We're again going to select our list. And I'm just going to use the same file. Okay, so we're going to insert the student's name. Let me preview it so I can see what we're doing. Their ID, their grade. Let's say they're, if I had this information on my Excel, I could put it here. Let's say everyone's taking the test the same day. The location that they're taking it in. Where's room number? Here we go. The exam that they're taking. And the time. Let's pretend it is 9 a.m. All right, so I need to make sure I copy these fields in each of these boxes. Whoops. Let me see if I can get away with doing this. Nope. Hold on, I'm gonna have to do it cell by cell. Hold on just a second. Sometimes I have luck and I can just copy everything and it works, but you know how it doesn't always work that way. Let me see if I can do this. Okay.
My bad. What did you say the name was?
Okay. Now, if I do preview results, look at what happens. Brian is repeated 3 times. So we need to do one extra step. Whenever we're doing a mail merge with multiple records, and by multiple records, think of your Excel spreadsheet. Think of how each line is a record, each row is a record. And if this one-page document needs to go through 3 rows, so you need to tell it, hey, I don't need the same information repeated each time. I need you to go on to the next record, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So it doesn't have to be on the table. It can be in the background. I prefer to do it right before you go to the next row. So I put my cursor here. Don't worry, it's not going to be seen on the finished document. You go up to Rules, and you click Next Record. And then I would do that for this one again. Go up to Rules, Next Record. Now look at what it did. See how now it's going to the next record. And it'll keep doing that as I keep scrolling through. Okay, so one more time. For the first one, you put in your fields as usual. I copied them into the other boxes. The only difference is I added this field right here, Next Record, to the second and to the third one. You get Next Record from going to Rules and clicking on Next Record. And that's it. Then I can finish and merge.
I have a question.
Sure.
If I noticed that you copied. Why can't you just insert?
I absolutely could have done that. I was just copying.
Oh, okay.
Insert would have worked as well. I was trying to see if I could copy, because I was trying to do multiple things at once.
Okay.
And I was trying to see if I could copy the whole thing and bring it down, and it wasn't working. But yes, you can absolutely go through it.
And insert the field, but you have to put that rule right before the next one comes up.
Exactly. You would only need to do that on the second and the third one. You don't need to do that on the first one.
Right. Right.
Okay. But yes, good point. So basically, you can also just click on each cell and insert the field one by one. I was trying to just do a couple at, at one time.
Okay, all right.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, for instance, if you did not have on your document the assigned test date,
Mm-hmm.
and I see that you added it there, we would just have to make sure we copy it and it'll keep going, although it wasn't on the source document?
Exactly. So anything that was not on the source document that I typed will just stay there and be the same for everybody.
Okay.
So if you were giving the test on different dates to different
Right.
students, you would just need to make sure you added a column in your source document on the
Okay.
date that they were taking that. But everyone in the school is taking the test on May 20th, and everyone is
Okay.
taking it at 9 a.m.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay? Any other questions?
I have
Sure.
a question for
Sure.
the second and the third ticket or the assignment, the pass, I'm sorry. When you put next record under student name, it carries over to the student ID and location and everything?
Yes, because
So-
next record says go to the next row.
Next row. So it covers for all the boxes that's being mail merged to. Awesome.
Exactly.
Thank you.
It
Okay, I was
covers-
a little like, because you mess up at one thing with mail merge and you're done.
So think of it this way. It's telling
row.
Word to go to the next row.
Awesome.
And it's everything in that row.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted confirmation.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't know about that the first time I did this when I was, trying to figure it out myself. And I only put the next record on, I think, the second one, and I didn't do it on the third one. I don't know. It was a mess. Anyway.
I know that's it. It's a great system, but if you mess up, it's like back to square one. But thank
Exactly. Exactly. Any other questions?
Okay, that's good. Good
Kathy,
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
if it's not too much trouble, could you possibly go through the first, like the letter one that you did
Sure.
again, just super quick, like click this. Because I was taking notes, but I probably missed something. I've done this.
Okay. Everybody seeing the letter?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to use the wizard. And by the way, all you have to do to undo this is I'm just going to take off the field. So you have a letter. You've typed the letter, and you want to put some personal information in it. First thing you do, you've got to select your recipients. So I'm going to find my recipients. In other words, you need to bring in that Excel worksheet.
Mhm.
So I'm going to scroll for it. Whoops. Okay, now I've got my Excel spreadsheet. Again, make sure this is checked. Hit OK. And then wherever I put the cursor, I'm going to insert the appropriate field. So for homeroom, I'm going to put homeroom there. For name, last name. And by the way, I'm actually seeing what's in my Excel because I have preview results right here pressed. If I didn't, you're just going to see the field name. So I'm going to, and then of course you can type here. I'm going to type in comma, space, and then I'm going to put in first name, space, middle initial, student ID goes here. The grade goes here, and then, I could finish it up. And again, this part of the document was something I already typed in. So if everyone is taking the test on October 14th, or if everybody's going to take the test on October 15th, 2020, I could just literally type that there and it's going to come out the same for everybody. The test that everybody happens to be taking is the PSAT, but if they were taking a different test, I could just put that there. And again, all of your other information that stays the same is right there. And then before you print it, you want to make sure that your Excel spreadsheet is sorted the way you want it printed out. So right now it's sorted by the student name. I want it sorted by homeroom because I want it printed out in that order. So to edit anything in my recipient list, I click on this button. I'm going to find homeroom. I'm going to sort it. And again, if I want to do a multi-level sort, I'm going to click on this button and I add whatever other fields I want to add. So now it's going to come out by homeroom, then alphabetically by last name and first name. I hit OK, and there we go. It just sorted. I'm going to hit, and by the way, anyone I want to leave off because perhaps they've just withdrawn, I just uncheck them. I hit OK, and there we go. We're ready for this to be printed out. And then I just finish and merge right here. I'm going to edit individual documents. And remember, there's no reason to put next record here because the next record would automatically go on the next page. The only time you insert next record is if you have multiple records. In other words, multiple rows of Excel on one page. I hope I'm making that clear. So, edit individual documents, hit OK, and boom, there we go. And now, this is my finished product. I can save it, I can print it out.
Why did you hit edit individual documents? Because, wait.
Let me go back. So you have two options here.
Right.
Remember, right now I've only got one page. This is my template, right? This is not what I'm merging. This is my template. I need to merge it into now some Word, the actual Word document.
Okay.
So that's why I did that. I can just go straight to print. If I hit print and I hit all, it's going to ask me now to print it.
But you do edit just to be sure that it's
right.
You know, okay.
For me, Robin, you know, I make mistakes, or I just want to copy it and save it before I send it out. So
gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
That's the only reason. But if you're ready to print, go ahead and print.
I gotcha. Makes sense.